Take a moment and look across the room right now. A clock, a face on the TV, words on a bottle. Does everything still look perfectly sharp, or does there seem to be a slight haze that wasn't there a few years ago? Most people blame aging, so they get stronger glasses, larger reading lenses, brighter lights. But here's the shocking part almost nobody explains. What if your eyesight isn't getting worse because of your eyes alone? What if repeated blood sugar spikes are quietly stressing the most delicate vision tissue in your body years before diabetes is ever diagnosed? Researchers now believe many adults over 60 experience blood sugar swings strong enough to affect vision even while routine tests still appear normal. And because the retina burns enormous amounts of oxygen and energy every second, even small metabolic changes may begin affecting vision surprisingly early. That's why some people notice their eyesight becomes blurrier after meals, clearer in the morning, or strangely inconsistent from day to day, and almost nobody connects the dots. Before we continue, I'd love to hear from you because I personally read every comment. Have you ever noticed your vision becoming blurrier later in the day or after eating certain foods? Let me know below. And first, you need to understand what blood sugar may physically be doing inside your eyes every single day, because the very first mechanism surprises almost everyone who hears it. Mechanism 1. Lens swelling. One of the earliest blood sugar-related vision changes often has nothing to do with permanent eye damage at all. It starts with something much more subtle, temporary swelling inside the lens of the eye. Here's why that happens. The clear lens behind your pupil constantly absorbs nutrients from the fluid surrounding it. But when blood sugar suddenly rises after meals, excess glucose can begin collecting inside the lens itself. And the body converts part of that glucose into a substance called sorbitol. The problem? Sorbitol tends to trap water. So the lens slowly pulls in extra fluid almost like a dry sponge soaking up moisture. And when the lens swells, its ability to focus light properly changes. That's why vision may suddenly feel blurrier some afternoons, clearer some mornings, or strangely inconsistent from one day to the next. In fact, researchers have found that rapid glucose swings can temporarily alter visual focus even before someone develops diabetes. And many people never realize what's happening. They assume they need stronger glasses, while the lens itself may simply be reacting to unstable blood sugar throughout the day. But temporary blurring is only the beginning, because the next mechanism quietly affects the tiny blood vessels your retina depends on to survive. Mechanism 2. Capillary glycation. Now the damage becomes far more serious, because your retina depends on some of the smallest blood vessels in the entire body. Tiny capillaries so narrow that blood cells move through them almost single file. And high blood sugar slowly damages those delicate vessels through a process called glycation. Think of it like this. Healthy blood vessels are flexible and smooth. But over time, excess sugar begins attaching to proteins in those vessel walls, making them stiffer, weaker, and more fragile. Researchers compare it to a soft rubber tube slowly becoming brittle and cracked. As those vessels weaken, tiny leaks can begin forming inside the retina. Fluid builds up, oxygen delivery drops, visual signals become distorted, and the frightening part is that this process may begin years before someone is officially diagnosed with diabetes. But blood vessels are not the only structures vulnerable to this damage, because the next mechanism slowly targets the very center of your sharpest vision. Mechanism 3. Macular oxidation. At the center of your retina is a tiny area called the macula. This is the part responsible for reading, recognizing faces, driving, and seeing fine detail clearly. And it depends heavily on two protective pigments, lutein and zeaxanthin. Their job is to shield the eye from oxidative stress and damaging light exposure. But unstable blood sugar creates large amounts of free radicals inside retinal tissue, highly reactive molecules that slowly wear down those protective defenses over time. As those pigments become depleted, the macula becomes more vulnerable to damage. That's why many older adults begin struggling with blurry reading, dimmer contrast, facial recognition problems, or difficulty driving at night. And what makes this especially dangerous is how slowly it develops. Most people think their eyesight is simply getting older, while the most important part of their central vision is quietly losing protection year after year. But researchers later discovered another surprising connection, one involving the kidneys, eye pressure, and silent optic nerve damage. Mechanism 4. Pressure cascade. Most people would never connect blood sugar problems with eye pressure, but inside the body, the connection is surprisingly real. The eyes and kidneys both rely on extremely delicate microvessels that are highly vulnerable to long-term sugar damage. And when those vessels begin struggling, pressure regulation throughout the body can slowly change as well. Fluid balance becomes less stable. Pressure inside the eye may gradually rise. And over time, that pressure can begin damaging the optic nerve, the structure responsible for carrying visual signals to the brain. This condition is called glaucoma. And what makes glaucoma especially frightening is that it usually develops without pain. Vision often disappears slowly from the outer edges first, making it difficult to notice until significant damage has already occurred. But perhaps the most shocking part is this. Many people experiencing these changes are still being told their blood sugar is normal. And that's exactly what happened to one retired woman whose blurry vision kept getting worse year after year. Before revealing the story, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to 4SE Nor's Health, where simple changes for seniors can lead to a powerful, healthy comeback. Eliana's story. Eliana was 64 years old, active, independent, and convinced her worsening vision was simply part of aging. Every year her glasses prescription became stronger, reading grew harder, halos around lights became more noticeable at night. But she also noticed something strange. Her eyesight often looked clearer in the morning, and much blurrier after larger meals, especially pasta, bread, or dessert. At first, she ignored it. No doctor had ever explained that blood sugar swings could temporarily change visual focus or stress retinal tissue. Her routine glucose tests looked acceptable, so nobody suspected anything serious. But once she began stabilizing her meals, reducing heavy sugar spikes, and supporting her nutrient intake, something surprising happened. Within weeks, the afternoon blurring became less intense. The halo slowly improved, and the progression of her retinal changes finally began stabilizing. And her story reveals something incredibly important. Blood sugar doesn't just affect vision mechanically. It may also quietly drain critical nutrients the eyes desperately need to protect themselves. Mechanism 5. Nutrient drain. One of the most overlooked effects of unstable blood sugar is what it slowly steals from the eyes over time. Because the retina doesn't just need oxygen and circulation to function properly. It also depends on specific nutrients to process light, protect delicate nerve tissue, and maintain sharp visual signals every second of the day. And 3 nutrients become especially important after 60. The first is thiamine, also known as vitamin B1. It helps retinal cells process glucose safely and efficiently. But when blood sugar stays elevated too often, the body burns through thiamine much faster. The second is magnesium. Low magnesium levels may worsen blood sugar instability while also increasing oxidative stress inside tiny blood vessels, creating even more strain on retinal tissue. And then comes zinc. The retina contains one of the highest concentrations of zinc anywhere in the body because zinc plays a major role in how visual signals are processed and protected. But absorption often declines with age. So while many seniors believe their eyes are simply wearing out, the reality may be very different. Their eyes may be functioning in a depleted environment that no longer has the nutrients needed to defend and repair itself properly. And once you understand that, the next question becomes incredibly important. How do you actually help protect your vision starting today? Vision Recovery Protocol. The good news is that the eyes are not completely helpless. Because once blood sugar becomes more stable and the retina receives better nutritional support, many people notice their vision fluctuations become less aggressive over time. And it often starts with very small daily changes. In the morning, one of the most important goals is preventing a major glucose spike early in the day. That's why many vision specialists now recommend starting breakfast with protein and healthy fats first, instead of sugary cereals, toast, pastries, or juice alone. Eggs, plain yogurt, flax seeds, or a small portion of fish may help keep blood sugar steadier during the hours when the lens is especially sensitive to fluid shifts. Then during the day, meal order matters more than most people realize. Studies show eating vegetables and protein before starches may significantly reduce post-meal glucose spikes. And even something as simple as a 10-minute walk after meals may help muscles absorb excess glucose before it lingers in the bloodstream too long. Later in the day, the focus shifts toward rebuilding protective nutrients. Pumpkin seeds provide magnesium and zinc. Egg yolks contain highly absorbable lutein and zeaxanthin. Fatty fish may help support circulation and reduce inflammatory stress affecting delicate retinal tissue. And then comes one of the most overlooked habits of all, late night eating. Because while you sleep, the eyes enter an important repair phase. but large nighttime glucose spikes may interfere with that recovery process and place additional stress on already vulnerable retinal tissue. That's why many experts recommend finishing your final meal at least 2 to 3 hours before bed. And before we finish, there are 2 simple patterns many people notice long before they realize blood sugar may already be affecting their eyesight. The first is timing. Pay attention to when your eyesight seems blurriest. Is it worse 30 minutes to an hour after eating, worse after desserts, bread, pasta, or sugary snacks, yet strangely clearer in the morning before breakfast? That pattern may be a major clue that blood sugar swings are affecting the lens and retinal tissue more than you realize. The second is keeping a short food and vision journal for 1 week. Nothing complicated. Simply write down what you ate and whether your vision felt sharper or blurrier afterward. Many people are shocked when patterns begin appearing that no eye exam ever pointed out. Because most vision appointments focus on prescriptions, not on what may be quietly driving the changes underneath. And once you begin noticing these patterns, the next step becomes taking small daily actions before the damage progresses further. So before you finish this video, here are 5 simple things you can start doing tonight. First, eat protein and vegetables before breads, sweets, or starches during meals. Second, walk for 10 minutes after dinner to help reduce large blood sugar spikes naturally. Third, add a small handful of raw pumpkin seeds for magnesium and zinc support. Fourth, include egg yolks regularly to help replenish protective nutrients your retina depends on every day. And fifth, stop eating at least 2 to 3 hours before bed so your eyes can recover during sleep without additional metabolic stress. Because small habits repeated daily may shape the environment surrounding your vision far more than most people realize. So here's a simple question to think about. What was the most surprising thing you learned today about the connection between blood sugar and eyesight? Let me know in the comments below. We're building a community here to support your strong, healthy comeback. If this video helped you, I'd truly appreciate a like and if you subscribe, and please share it with someone you care about. And join me in the next video for another simple step toward better health.